Hey, what's up, pups? Welcome to episode, 47? 74. I reversed that. Episode 74 of the Power Up Podcast. Tis a podcast that just looks into pop culture. See what's happening as I belch. See what's happening in the old realm of pop culture, from animes to video games. Got a lot to talk about today that I find intriguing. Of course, the main talking point I guess we'll be discussing over is the fact that the backlash for Assassin's Creed Shadow has gotten so prominent that apparently a Japanese politician has stepped in to investigate of, quote, it being culture theft. Hilarious. So we'll learn more about that. We also have got other stories to talk about, as well as Nintendo's thoughts on AI. Nintendo releasing an official magazine in English, which I'm thinking almost like Nintendo Power. I don't even know if Nintendo Power is still going, and amongst other things as well. But if you're new to the show, feel free to like and subscribe and turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. I try to go live every Monday, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That would be this show, the Power Up Podcast, whether that's solo or with a guest. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I'll try to sometimes go live right after the show on Friday. Do some gaming as well. I felt like that was a very terrible plug, but whatever. You guys get what I'm trying to say. I'm live a lot of times around 8 p.m. Central Time, and when you turn on notifications, you get notified when I go live. And boy, is it already hot, but that is because I just brought in a bunch of groceries and put that all away, and it is like 94 degrees here in old Texas. And it's the first time I stepped out from the apartment just because, I work from home. So it's wonderful. It's delicious. But yeah, thanks to everyone who's hanging out with me today. So we're going to hop on into here. And by the way, you can also check me out on my other social medias listed in the description below. We are on Rumble, we are on YouTube, we are on X, and we are on Kick. And on X specifically, you can find those other social medias in my link tree that's found in my bio. So fun stuff. Let's get on into it. See what's up. What is up, Loki, over on YouTube? All right, what do we want to start with? We will start with Nintendo, that recently gave their thoughts about AI and their stance on it. Comes from bounding into comments. I hate this banner that they do. Nintendo president reveals company stance on AI. It seems that, unlike such industry rivals as Xbox and Ubisoft, okay, don't know why it's listing that, but okay. Nintendo has no plans to ride the generative AI train. It just made it seem like the industry, like the video game industry, and you usually think of Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft. But so that's why I was like Ubisoft. But yeah, they're implementing AI, but Nintendo doesn't want to. Dude, I cannot wait for Mario and Luigi Brothership. I like the Mario and Luigi Saga games. I need to finish Paper Jam. Or not finish it. I need to start it. I need to finish the series because I played them all up until that one. Though these competitors are hoping to integrate elements of this fast-evolving technology, Nintendo's president, Shuntaro Furukawa, during a Q&A with investors, made clear that in its current state, AI isn't a place to go past its traditional roles. First, he touched upon AI's long history within the gaming industry. In the gaming industry, AI-like technology has long been used to control enemy character movements, so game development and AI technology have always been closely related. But as the president pointed out, AI in gaming has been around for decades. Okay, I mean, you're just repeating what we just read, but whatever. According to Wikipedia, not a good source to, not a good place to grab your sources. But sure. This relationship goes back to the 1950s with the creation of the game Nim, which was published in 1952 and is hailed as one of the first use cases of AI in the infant video game ecosystem. Some reason I was seeing that as us. And I was going to blame Bounding into Comics because I know they aren't exactly the greatest when it comes to grammar and spelling errors, but that was my fault. Moving on, President Shuntaro said, due to recent advancements in generative AI, it has become a hot topic, though one with drawbacks. Generative AI, which has been a hot topic in recent years, can be more creative, but we also recognize that it has issues with intellectual property rights. And there it is. Of course, Nintendo would be butthurt over the fact that it's dabbling with intellectual property rights because they want to keep their shit close to heart, even though they have stuff that isn't ever going to be remade again. Specifically talking about your old school games that, you know, may have been ripped and uploaded as a ROM in gaming sites like Emu Paradise, ultimately being taken down by Nintendo because it's our intellectual property, even though they'll never re-release it and they're not even making a dime off of a lot of them. And for some reason, just don't want to preserve the game. Oh, excuse me. As I'm choking. Dude. Oh my gosh, dude. Allergies. I hate it with a passion. If I could rip out everything in my body that is associated with allergies, I would do it in a heartbeat. Anyway, so finally, his last remark seems to put a nail in the coffin that Nintendo will use generative AI. We have decades of know-how in creating optimal gaming experiences for our customers, and while we remain flexible in responding to technological developments, we hope to continue to deliver value that is unique to us and cannot be achieved through technology alone. I do appreciate them kind of being like, yeah, we want to keep up the tradition of passing that knowledge to other people, then just rely on technology. I respect them for that. I still have a problem with them being all butthurt about, you know, ROMs and emulation and stuff like that. Because it is retarded. Because at the end of the day, we have seen examples of times when Nintendo releases things, ports even, that are inferior to the OG especially. Or there's like some things in the port that isn't right, like coloring or whatever. And now we're seeing people bastardizing games by saying, well, this isn't up to date to today's modern standard and audiences. Of course, the standards being their retarded woke ideology, and it needs to be fixed. Loki says exactly, they don't care if it isn't money that they make. Yep. Yeah, they don't give a shit. Now, I understand that intellectual property over in Japan is different than what we know in the United States. I understand that. I think Legal Mindset has explained about it a couple times. It's still stupid, though. It's still dumb. Especially when your entire company is based on gaming. You would think that they would like at least care to preserve it, which you could make the argument, yeah, they are preserving their games with the Nintendo Switch subscription. But some people don't want to go the Game Pass route. Some people actually like to own the game, you know? Untouched and untainted. For those who are working in the industry, these comments might seem like a highlight in a space that has experienced significant layoffs in the last 2 years. Matthew Ball, an angel investor and advisor, made this point on X back in June. Let's see. Video game industry has set a tragic new record for an in-year layoffs. So it's just a list of all the layoffs. Okay, whatever. And another follow-up, he pointed to a reduction in consumer spending as a likely reason. Okay. And then, you guys can check this out in the article if you go on Bounding into Comics and reading this one specifically. The thing I disagree with, so he's talking about a reduction in consumer spending. The thing I disagree with is the fact that you're trying to push the consumers to spend their money on digital products. That I have an issue with. Because like what we're seeing with Xbox and their Game Pass and stupid shit, now they're changing it to where what? Now it's the standard, there's a beginners, there's a core. See, I read about that on Wednesday's show, Wednesday or Monday, and I don't even remember what the tiers are because they keep changing it and they're going to keep hiking up the price to accommodate for it, and then they're going to try to lure you in by saying, oh, yeah, we're giving you the decision to decide on what Game Pass you want to buy. But the one that benefits everyone and what everyone wants is the highest paying one because it unlocks everything. And then, of course, when it comes to like pre-ordering and stuff like that, they're going to want you to go the digital route because, you can play it early during this time because you already got it pre-ordered, so you can download and install it and you can play it an hour early compared to like getting it in physical. See, this is the garbage that I absolutely am not liking with the video game industry. It's because you're punishing people who want to just have a physical copy of the game and instead are shaming them by then saying, no, you need to go the digital route because what we're offering if you go digital is so much better than physical. When it's not, because the way they're handling modernizing games now for the modern audience, people can't get rid of that. You can't sell your digital copy of something unless someone's figured out how to, Ultimate Game Pass, they want you to get, exactly. They want you to get the most expensive one, and because that's the one that you can unlock the most and you can get our catalog of our library of games. Then, of course, you have people saying, well, you don't really own the game. So then a lot of people respond, well, if buying digital games mean we're not really owning it, then pirating games, we're not really stealing it. Which I think is a good clapback and makes sense. Don't like it? Some people want to own that shit. Anyway, that felt like a discombobbled rant, but hopefully my point got across. So he pointed out consumer reduction. So President Furukawa's remarks seem to show that Nintendo wants to be committed to maintaining its creative integrity and respecting IP laws. Creative integrity, I can respect. Respecting IP laws when you guys have been such assholes to people, especially during people who just want to preserve the games and keep the game that it was made when it came out and not have it be bastardized by modern bullshit, that I have a problem with. Even in market that isn't quite friendly to gaming studios. Even in a market that isn't quite friendly to gaming studios. I don't know. I don't know what they mean by this comment. I think I kind of get what they're getting at, but a lot of the gaming studios are a bunch of shit. Hate to say it. Yeah, should I feel bad for the developers? Depends on who the developer is, I guess. Dude, they don't give 3 free games in Xbox anymore if you just get the internet one for Xbox to play online. Of course, they're trying to obsolete free. So, not a very long article. I didn't super look into it. These article reads I never look into. I just find what I think might pique my interest. Go in here blind and see what they say. I understand, and I actually do respect his thoughts on AI, how they go about with their intellectual property. That's something I have a problem with. Specifically, like how they see emulation and shit like that. Okay. Next on the old list, coming from that Park Place, Kotaku managing editor goes on deranged rant accusing Mark Kern, which is Grums, of maintaining and reinforcing the heteronormative, cis-normative, white supremacist, patriarchal status quo. That is a lot of buzzwords, and that means a whole lot of nothing. This is retarded. Absolutely retarded. The man who calls himself Caroline Petite via games for changing you. Is this the person? Gosh. Dude, all these buzzwords that don't mean crap nowadays. Oh, it is. Okay. Kotaku managing editor, a man who claims to be a woman and uses the name Caroline Petite. And it's always these weird ass names that they come up with. Went on an unhinged and deranged rant against Mark Kern, aka Grums, accusing him of maintaining and reinforcing what we just read up top there. This dude's white. You're white, dude. That means you're instantly a white supremacist. I thought that's what they always say. If you're white, you're a supremacist in some way, shape, and form. So I don't know why this person thinks they get a free pass. Disney owns more copyrights than any other entity in the world. It's insane how much power they wield with that control, and they cheat and bribe their way to never letting it go. Yep. And it ain't going to get better either, unfortunately. So says Scripture. Petite's rant came in the wake of Grumps responding to an anonymous game developer admitting he hates games. The developer, who claims to work on a racing game, shared a post in the game dev subreddit titled, "Am I allowed to say this? I kind of hate gamers." Oh, I said games. Gamers. Excuse me. Kind of hate gamers. Are you allowed to say it? By all means, go ahead and say it. Free speech. Sure. Should you be fired from your job? Yes, in the extent of you should have never have gotten the job to begin with because your sole purpose of working on games, I would assume that you liked games. And therefore understanding what gamers are coming from. But because apparently you hate gamers, means you hate games, and therefore you shouldn't have been hired. I don't know. Maybe one day there needs to be a studio that just ultimately in the end does not give a shit and just start firing these people left and right. It shouldn't have to come to firing because they shouldn't even be hired to begin with because they're a bunch of pussies and don't care about games. But you guys see what I'm saying. In the body of the post, he explained, "I'm a professional game designer." Sure you are. "And I'm worried that I'm starting to hate gamers. Watching the gaming events on YouTube last month with the chat on was an extremely disheartening experience. Every time a character that wasn't a shished white man appeared on screen, the chat would fill the message calling the game woke or complaining about DEI. Good. Because that's not what gamers are asking for. Number two, it's probably a franchise that was already established and then got bastardized by then changing what was established to fit the DEI standard. The fact that these people just cannot get it is absolutely astounding. Now, I say that it's astounding, but I'm kind of being facetious about it because I know that these people, they actually do get it. They just don't care. And because they don't care, they shouldn't be allowed in here. They shouldn't be allowed to participate. Because they've clearly shown that they do not respect the material that they're working on. They're only seeing it as an opportunity to hijack and infiltrate an area that has a bunch of non-modern ideology, and it needs to be fixed immediately. Gosh. Every gamer that wasn't a shooter or a hyper-casual competitive online gamer garnered Z's and boring comments. Probably because shooters and the hyper-casual competitive online games, you can only do so much to bastardize it. Any other game, a game that has a story, you have plenty of time to tamper with and destroy. especially if it's an already established franchise. Oh, absolutely. We got to change that immediately. And then I checked Twitter, and it's just people complaining that Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake is not yellow enough. Really? That's one of your complaints? Oh, get fisted. Get fisted. Now, I'm one of those people that I don't really care about the yellowness. I know what they're talking about because I played the original. I know what they're talking about. I ain't losing sleep over it if it's not in there. But if this is one of his main complaints, that this is slowly turning him into hating gamers, dude, you're such a pussy. You could find better examples than that. People telling me there's a right way and a wrong way to beat Ring, and people hating on the new Dragon Age because the trailer doesn't match the tone they had imagined it. He continued, well, I don't know about Ring. The new Dragon Age, if it's not conforming to what was established for a Dragon Age game, and people are saying, yeah, this isn't Dragon Age, 100% on board with that. And they have every right to criticize it. I mean, these are such vague statements, so I take whatever this loser is saying with a grain of salt. He then added, I've seen people implying that the MC in the Fable trailers is ugly. She is, because it's a self-insert of some random level designer working at Playground who they have deemed not fuckable. Not that last part, but she is ugly, and it does appear to be some sort of self-insert. See, look at how perverse this person is, and the projection of and the projecting of that perversion onto the people. You just don't like them because they're not fuckable. It's like, dude, have you seen your side that you support, that you say is doing everything for the good of mankind and progression? You're the same guy who's getting their rocks off because you can go to a gay pride parade and watch some guy give a blowjob to another guy while some other person's pissing on him. Like, fuck off. Gosh. Jeez. And then they have the gall to say, oh, you're just mad because they're not fuckable enough. It's like, dude, you can probably go out there and rule 34 that chick, and someone's made her 10 times hotter. Jeez. I don't know. It's just the internet magnifying negative voices, I guess. No, they're pointing out your guys' negativity, and you're ass mad because the spotlight is constantly being shined on it. That's the problem. Your skeletons and your sins are being exposed. Which, let's admit here, like, the good Lord will expose your sin in one way, shape, or form down the road, unless you repent. Let's see. Doing what is best, but it's making me real tired of gamers. Likely Sprite concluded. Oh, is that the name of, like, the anonymous thing? Grums reacted to the post, writing on X, oh boy, you hate gamers because you're obviously political and insist that everyone accept and love your overt political message in gaming. You want compliance and gamers aren't giving it to you. Yep. What up, Scotty? All right, just walked in. What did you miss? You missed an article talking about Nintendo not going to really accept AI in terms of the creative process, as in probably like art generation or something like that, because they want to pass on that creative knowledge to actual people. But then I also took issue of them, and they also brought in intellectual property rights, which I do have a problem with Nintendo with that, because we all know how they feel about emulation and stuff. And right now we're talking about some guy going on a rant, some guy who thinks he's a woman going on a rant, insulting Grums with saying he's maintaining and reinforcing the heteronormative, cisnormative, white supremacist, patriarchal status quo. Dude, literally probably had a checklist in front of him when he was reading that, and it was just shh, shh, shh. And then we were talking about how some Reddit fag was talking about how he hates gamers. So Petit responded to Grums on X. I've said this many times before, there's no way, shape, or form in which that people like Grumming here are doing is not itself deeply, deeply political. It's all about maintaining and reinforcing. Okay, so this is where he throws in that retarded woke stuff. Dude, you cannot tell me, you cannot. Oh my gosh. It's like, well, you're just responding back because what you're doing is political too. And then you literally end your post by literally throwing out this SJW racist, bigoted, I guess I could even say LGBT GT supremacist checklist. Gosh, these people are retarded. I don't care who the fuck you think you are and what you need to do to somehow make your life easier. Go ahead and do it, but dear Lord, stay out of entertainment. Make your own damn game and let it fail then. They don't want to because that's the reason why. It'll fail. And then they'll have no one to blame but themselves, but we all know how these people think. They'll do every sort of mental gymnastics to showcase, well, I didn't succeed because of these people. The projection. Ordinarily, I agree with Grums, but he has been tweeting way too much about stuff that's out of his depth. I mean, maybe. To me, like in this specific instances, he just pointed out people are pushing back because they're not going to conform to and accept your ideology. And now this weirdo is going, oh, but what you're doing is political too. And it's like, gee, if only there was a time when nothing was like where regardless of what ideology you went with, you could just have a good game. Oh, it existed. It was back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And yet, these are the people that are taking those games, and when they remake them, they have to upgrade it to modern audiences and bastardize it. As Rambo said, they drew first blood, not me. Whoop. And I can't drink properly from my soda can because I had it backwards. Then, as far as I know, he hasn't been talking about his game as much. I mean, I don't know. That's his prerogative, not mine. When he's talking about games, that's great. When he's talking about the culture wars, I feel like he doesn't fully know what he's talking about. I mean, possibly. I think he's trying to organize his thoughts, if anything, and make it as, convey it as clear as possible. I mean, I'm terrible at doing that. And I just sound like a rambling lunatic, but that's fine with me. X-user Gromos responded petite, writing, the issue is those political ideas are not represented as an alternative, but rather as a hostile takeover. This guy is absolutely correct, minus the flags and the gay rainbow. I do agree with that. Is that these people are trying to convince us that what they're doing is for the greater good, and we just need to accept it. Trust us, you'll be on the right side of history. But we as gamers are saying, no, it was never broken to begin with because we see good games from the past succeed with ideology inside of that story of that game. We see tons of them all over the place, and people were fine with them. It is when a certain side says, this history is bad, we need to erase it immediately because it's bad. So therefore, all the franchises that you love needs to be updated for the modern audience. And we are just the people to do it because we know what's best. And we know that if we can just copy and paste whatever it is that's wrong and just reverse the side of it, everything should be fine and we should make money and you should be happy. Nope. These people are parasites attempting to compromise everything natural in this world. Exactly. Yeah, that's the other thing too. I truly believe there's obviously a demonic sort of entity behind a lot of these people. Everyone, no. But scripture says, there's principalities and power behind like a lot of stuff. Hollywood for sure. Government, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised even in the video game industry. In fact, that kind of does tie into Hollywood because it's entertainment. And a lot of Gnostics and paganism and stuff, a lot of entertainment is based on their version of a story. I mean, it's compelling stories. Like, don't get me wrong. It's interesting. But now they're just being openly open about it, and we see through the bullshit. Nothing was broken, so they're trying to break it. Yep. So Petito addressed this writing, laughed my ass off. Right, we're the hostile ones. You are. Asking to exist freely and safely as equals in society. What does that have to do with gaming? Dude, what does that have to fucking do with gaming? You do exist freely and safely. Go to any other place in the world and see if you get treated the same that you would over here, where probably the worst you get is someone looking at you and going, and then probably you being the one who notices it and then get butthurt about it and go up and you got a problem with that? So you're the ones being hostile, and then who knows what could escalate from there. So done preach, Greg? Yeah. Dude, has nothing to do. Look at this. Me. Safely as equals. Dude, if you have to go to the video game industry to find a safe space, you are more than fucked up in the head. And you need help. Now, granted, this guy thinks he's a woman, so he's already has some sort of mental illness. But, dude, you are, oh my gosh. These, like what scripture says, they are literally building their houses on the sand, and the sand gets blown away, and that you need to build your house on the solid rock. Oh my gosh. And I'm bad because I should know what that verse is. My apologies, and I'm probably not even quoting it correctly, but go, check it out, do your research. You know what? I'm here. Not just say go do it. You know what? I should do it. Let's see. Bible verse built. Let's see. House on sand. Matthew 7:26. There you go. 24 through 27. Matthew 7:24 through 27. Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them, and of course this is not me, this is Christ saying this, and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. These are these people. You're literally building your entire self-existence on the video game industry? Oh my gosh. Dude. Oh, dear Lord. And then you're trying to project that onto the companies by saying, we need safe spaces. Because, oh no, the voice chat, the chat lobby, they're making fun of me. They're calling me a fag. You know what we need? We need to build a time machine and then shove all these people in there and take it back and force them to listen to, the OG Call of Duty lobbies and just toughen them up. Honestly, what irks me most are the localizers trying to rewrite the history. That's another side, too, that pisses me off as well, especially in games where it's gotten leagues worse in the modern age than any other, notably during 2014. Yep. Need to see a therapist. Safe spaces ought to have been preserved for people with PTSD, not the mentally ill. We used to have sanitariums and asylums for that. Very true. Build your house on the rock. Jesus. Indeed. There you go. There's your Bible verse for today's lesson. Check it out. Acts 17:11. Be like the Berean Jews. They sought the scriptures daily to see if it was true. It's called the Berean Challenge, Acts 17:11. That's what I do all the time. I don't take anything at face value. I trust that the people that I listen to are truly telling the Lord's words and explaining it correctly, but you should also be studying it yourself to make sure that what they're saying is true. Test the spirits, as the scripture says. Scotty says, thank you. All right, where was I? Sorry, I just saw this guy like doing this, and I'm just like, oh. So he's asking to exist freely and safely as equals in society. I mean, you're free. Let's be real here. Safely, I'm still waiting. Safely as equals. What are you talking about? Talking about that trans person who shot up that Christian school? Talking about the other mass shooters who identified as non-binary or didn't know about, didn't know what gender they were. All those. You've seen the meme. Ooh, how about that one Muslim guy that shot up that gay bar in Florida? But that was the white person's problem. That was their fault. And sometimes see yourselves represented and reflected in the mediums that we love. Then make your own damn game. No one is stopping you from crowdfunding your own game or going the indie route. Jesus fucking, well, no, don't say that. Sorry, Lord. I should not say that. I'm just getting salty. What the fuck? Patriarchy and white supremacy are themselves hostile and maintained through violence or the threat of violence. He must have slept during the summer of love, because that was nothing but love. Nothing I love more than staring out and seeing a bunch of buildings just on fire. Dead people in the street, rioting. I mean, yeah, property was lost. Well, they have insurance, yeah, but, financially they're probably ruined. But, at least a life wasn't taken. That's messed up crap. Yeah. Again, this is all projection. These are the people saying that their lives aren't safe, that they're not this, that they're not that. And then some of the most extreme forms of violence that you see out there are perpetrated by these type of people. Because they didn't accept me for who I was. Dude, it's not that. Yeah. In reality, some people will not accept you for who you are. I won't, because I base my logic on scripture, which is the truth. And I've done my research enough to know that it's the truth. And I have. You want to learn about it? I can most certainly give you, my studying of the scripture and point to you to people who I think are doing the Lord's work in terms of spreading his message correctly. But at the end of the day, I don't give a shit about you. I'll give you that agape love, that unconditional love that God calls for everybody to give their neighbors and their enemies. That doesn't mean I have to agree with your delusions, your ideology, because sometimes that's the only thing you can do for someone, and you wipe the dust off your feet and you cut them out of your life. In an interview with Inclusion FX on 2021, Petit's claim is clearly false. Sweet Baby Inc. CEO Kim Belair made it abundantly clear that followers of woke ideologies like her and Petit are indeed attempting to take over the video game industry. Yes. And then Blair said, today, what we do is writing, narrative design, story building, story breaking as our first and foremost. I've read this before, but on a secondary level, we work very hard to get marginalized talent in the industry. Right there. See, they're lying by saying, oh, yeah, we're so, like, our first and foremost priority is to get that writing good, get that narrative design as best as it can be. This is a lie. But then on a secondary level, see, they're trying to, lessen the blow and think that people won't see that. Like, no, the secondary level is the first, and the first is the secondary. The world got turned upside down. Jesus came to turn it right back up. And these people want to keep it turned upside down. Basically, I think to take over in the hopes that some really dope people will be able to lead into a kind of new era for an industry that's been kind of been, the same way too long. And that same way created tons of good video games that you guys hate because you're not a part of it. And you want to leave your stamp of self-recognition, I guess, by destroying it, which is very narcissistic and absolutely disgusting as far as I'm concerned. Their life isn't safe. There's a war going out there and he's complaining he's not safe. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no one's going to be safe when the good Lord comes back. And anybody who knows Revelation, not S. That's a common misconception. It's just Revelation. Even I got tripped up saying that. When the good Lord comes back, he's not going to be happy. Yeah, his robe is going to be like drenched in blood because he's going to be doing a lot of slaying. So be prepared for that one. That one's not going to be good. I feel like we've been on this article for too long. Oh, and then that Park Place is going to try to... Dude, we've read this one already. Okay, because I remember seeing this picture. We didn't read specifically this article, but I remember like this in another article. So they're just kind of padding it out. Petit doubled down on... Okay, so this behavior and hostility is clearly seen in Petit's initial response to Grumps. He doubled down on this by claiming that the United States of America is a racist, misogynistic, transphobic society that treats straight white male as the default setting on humanity. Anyone want to tell him that that's exactly kind of how it is in the United States of America? That Caucasian is a lot of times the minority, or excuse me, the majority. That's slowly starting to change, by the way. But I mean, in the end, I don't care. You know, I don't care. Again, he can only say this in the comfort of the United States of America. Try saying that to like anywhere else, and may not go well. Especially if you're trying to convince them that you're a woman when you're a man. Uh-oh. Fits to a T exactly how Barron describes prominence of woke ideology. In a moment of sheer irony, Petit concluded his thread, writing, "Come on, that Park Place, don't give him the benefit the way he's acting. If you're tweeting like insane stuff like this, don't give him that pronoun bullshit." Another tactic for maintaining the dominance of the system we live in is trying to render those systems invisible. And one way they do this is acting like you're some kind of loon when you point out that those systems exist. Oh, I mean, they exist in some way, shape, or form, of course. You're just saying that everywhere you look, it's there, when it's not. You're the one creating the boogeyman, and now you're trying to convince me that the boogeyman is real. And I just go, get the hell out of my face. You know, leave me alone. I don't care. Be gone. Are you trying to make good games? No, I'm trying to infect games with this ideology. Oh, well then get fired. You know? What do you make of Petit's rant? It is the ranting of a madman. But hey, I've ranted a bunch too. I just like that he claims like, oh, treat straight white male as the default setting on humanity. Dude, you're literally a white male. You think trying to pass off as a woman is going to save you from that? Like, this is hilarious. It's like, well, I'm actually a woman, so I am now forever absolved from the treatment of my straight whiteness being the default set on humanity. Well, I mean, and speaking of this, I mean, everything is actually based off, kind of like around, what is it, the Euphrates River and based on scripture. So, God has his throne set on Jerusalem. That's kind of where his compass is. So humanity, it was located around that area. Not necessarily white. And then the different races got made and all that stuff. But that's another rabbit hole going down. So I don't get what this guy's talking about. I hate it when they pull stupid shit like this. Straight white males as default settings on humanity. Just remember, these are the same people who think Asian people are white because they're adjacent white. Just remember that. All right, well, that was fun and insane. Ubisoft adds trigger warning to Beyond Good and Evil, the 20th anniversary edition. I find this absolutely hilarious because I was playing Beyond Good and Evil until my capture card went kaput. And I was trying to emulate and see which version of emulation is the best way to play this game if you're going the emulation route. And unfortunately, I had to resolve to the Xbox 360 version of it. And I was actually a little excited to see how the 20th anniversary was going to do. But they added a trigger warning. Bullshit. Ubisoft has added a trigger warning to its recently released Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition, as reported by, YouTuber Vera Dark. I tried reaching out to her. She'd be a good guest on the show. Or Vara, I guess. I say Vera, but if it's like car, Vara. The newly released Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition, which was released on June 25th, features a trigger warning. The warning states, Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition brings the original experience to today's platform. The story and gameplay remain as they were when the game launched in 2003. As such, some characters and cultural references contain stereotypes. Ubisoft acknowledges the negative impact of their representation. Dear Lord, this is just one gigantic self-fellatio. No one cares. Dear Lord, I hate this. I find this awful. At least the game is still fine on GOG, I think. I bought the GOG version, but I was having trouble with it, even with the mods that people made. But I think I didn't give it enough time. So I just remembered I had the 360 version. And I was trying to just see if I could just emulate it as opposed to hooking up my capture card and all that stuff. But I ultimately had to go there. They booted off the game on Steam for the deluxe version with a hijacked price. The company then added, much like in the game itself, we keep on learning about our world, our game, and the story and representation within them. Dude, trigger warnings, I even hate the term trigger warning. The only warnings that should be there is, hey, this has a bunch of flashing colors and lights. You might pass out if you have epilepsy. Beware. That one I can give credit to. Trigger warnings because your emotions are so weak and your spirit is so fragile. Get fucked, dude. Get out. Modding has never been a consistent thing. I know, but I am loving the modding community more and more, and the emulation community, because that's the only way you can apparently get the games that you want that haven't been touched. And aside from rebuilding it from the ground up, get it to today's, on today's technology as best as it can. Gosh, why can't... Dude, Shadow of the Colossus, prime example of how you rebuild it from the ground up. You leave it intact. You don't change anything. And it's good. If, in fact, you add more to it, which is, I believe, what they did, but it didn't take away from the original story. It successfully completed it. Well, not completed it, but it successfully, integrated with it. That's what you do. That's, my go-to example of how you do it right. I guess you could say the Resident Evil remakes are good, too. Even though some stuff, it was it'd be nice to have kept it, the fixed camera and stuff like that, but they found a way to make it work. Until Resident Evil 3 came out. And then it was super short game compared to the other one, and you're still wanting us to pay almost full price. Sorry. Flashing lights is honestly the only good warning to see. Exactly. That's the only thing you need to do. Or that, dude, whenever you bump up or put on the old Silent Hill, and that warning, this contains pictures of violence and gore and stuff like that. That old school warning was fine, just because it's hey, this game is based on this. Not, we understand that there's some sort of stereotype in here. We want you to know that Ubisoft does not agree because we're modern and we're woke and we're cool. It's fuck off. Again, that's just them jacking off to their own narcissism. Jones and Benjamin W. Bellett, interesting, an analysis conducted by Victoria M.E. Oh, I saw this. Yeah. Bergland, Paint, yeah. Published in August 2023. Yeah, this was a study to see if having trigger warnings makes any effect on it. And guess what they found? Found that warnings had no effect on effective responses to negative material or on educational outcomes. However, warnings reliably increased anticipatory effect. The researchers added findings on avoidance were mixed, suggesting either the warnings have no effect on engagement with material or that they increased engagement with negative material under specific circumstances. There you go. This is the same garbage that they try to pull that video games make people violent. If you're messed up in the head, it doesn't matter. It's no different watching. It's like the same thing when on the Michael Douglas show, when Michael Douglas asked Mo Howard from the Three Stooges that would kids watching the Three Stooges cause them to reenact that stuff, the eye poking, the slapping, and even the physical comedy of like saws and bandsaws and stuff like that. Mo's like, no. Because if it's a problem child, in his words, then there's absolutely no difference from them from watching the Stooges than them watching a Western and grabbing a gun and going out and shooting people. Like, dear Lord, I'm so tired of this. It's what they tried to do with, like, what, the Columbine shooters where they had Doom and, oh, Doom. So then it gives a rundown of Beyond Good and Evil. It's a good game. I liked it so far. I need to finish it. Game was developed by Michael Ansler, the creator of Rayman, alongside a team of 30 employees. Man, just 30 employees? Look at that. They could get all of that done with just 30 employees. In an interview with Game Informer conducted in 2011, Ansel detailed that current Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot was fully supportive of the project. It's always the same thing. They were 100% fine with it, and now that the hijacking with a very few minority of fringed weirdos have crept in and taken over, now all of a sudden we can't tolerate this. For this project, he came to Montpellier and was really behind the project. Unfortunately, it was not so successful, but Yves was really behind us for the whole development, which was incredible because he spent time regularly with us on the project. And I think they even changed like the graphics of this too, kind of like with Metal Gear Solid, where I think it was like more Metal Gear Solid 3 has that yellow tint to it, I guess, and this one I think has a more greenish tint. And they kind of did something with that, but whatever. There's only one game I feel ever warranted that rated M, Silent Hill 2. Yeah. Peter Jackson loved it, and Mikhail really showed what he could do to create innovative, or Michael. I think that's, or is that Michelle? I don't think that's Michelle. Mikhail. He added, it's a shame that you can do such an innovative game and that people feel that being there's a pig and it's not adapted totally to the audience, you don't sell the volume you expected. What do you think of Ubisoft adding this trigger warning to Beyond Good and Evil? Leave a comment down below. I think it's gay. That's my response. I feel like that's a lot of my responses. But whatever. Whatever. All right, so there's that. That one was fun. Let's see. This is something that was kind of disappointing, but you probably saw it coming. I was trying to give the benefit of the doubt. After going public, Stellar Blade developer Shift Up seeks employment to publish ESG reports. They officially went public and raised $320 million in its IPO. However, it was also revealed that the company is hiring an employee to publish ESG reports now. Oh, games industry reports that IPO is the largest one in South Korea in over 2 years and the first to raise over $50 million since PUBG developer Krafton. In fact, it was the second largest IPO in South Korea in 2024, only behind HD Hyundai Marin Solutions. After the company went public, a job posting on the company's website was discovered by ex-user Panda Casual for an IR representative or manager. One of the duties of this position is to lead a team in the publication of ESG reports. No, don't do it. Saw this article, I know. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance, and many companies have them in order to obtain money through various ESG funds. However, according to a report in the Harvard Business Review, these funds have not performed well. So then why are people seeking it? Sanjay Bagat, close to another word, explained at the end of March 2022, to begin with, ESG funds certainly perform poorly in financial terms. University of Chicago researchers analyzed that the Morningstar sustainability rating for more than 20,000 mutual funds representing over $8 trillion of investor savings. Though the highest rated funds in terms of sustainability certainly attracted more capital than the lowest rated funds, none of the high sustainability funds outperformed any of the lower or the lowest rated funds. Not only do they perform poorly, but they don't actually deliver on what they promise. ESG funds don't seem to deliver better ESG performance either. So more research from Columbia University and London School of Economics compared ESG records of U.S. companies in 147 ESG-funded portfolios and that of the U.S. companies in 2,428 non-ESG portfolios and that of the U.S. companies. Oh my gosh. Anyway, they found that the companies in the ESG portfolios had worse compliance record for both labor and environmental rules. They also found that companies added to ESG portfolios did not subsequently improve compliance with labor or environmental regulations. Okay, so ESG is completely pointless then. Fuck them. In fact, a report from the Wall Street Journal noted that a bunch of ESG, DEI, and diversity, equity, and inclusion excuse me, I was going to be like, why and? It means that. Is indeed a scam based off of faulty research done by an activist organization called McKinsey. We'll burn that activation organization to the ground in Minecraft. Academics have tried to repeat McKinsey's findings and failed, concluding there is in fact no link between profitability and executive diversity. And the methodology of McKinsey's earlier studies, which helped create the widespread belief that diversity is good for profits, is being questioned. Man, get that, dude, destroy this thing. Show the world that it's fake and get this ESG garbage out of here. Oh, we have to see what the final report focuses in. Oh yeah, Shift Up has fallen. After going public, they will be required to publish ESG reports. Very sad. If there's all these researchers showing that it does nothing, don't cater to it. Alrighty. So we'll go ahead and just kind of slowly exit out of this. Now on for the main topic. Some of you guys may have seen this already. I have, and I want to know more about it, and that is the backlash from Japanese players prompts a national politician to investigate culture theft of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Hilarious. As much as I don't like any form of government kind of, being involved in a lot of stuff, I find this hilarious. A Japanese politician is investigating after players within his country leveled complaints of cultural theft against Ubisoft's upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows. The politician in question, Satoshi Hamada, is a member of the House of Councilors, the upper house of the Japanese National Diet. ESG, not for me. Indeed. The politician in question... Oh, I just read that. Whoops. Dang it, Komanga, got me distracted. One of two party members of the Independent Party to Protect the People from the NHK. Welcome to the NHK is a very depressing anime, but good. A party whose platform is built on opposing the government broadcasting's TV all but mandatory licensing fees and whose membership has fallen apart following a recent leadership dispute. Hamada has recently joined the ranks of the many Japanese nationals who have found themselves outraged over the numerous historical inaccuracy presented in Ubisoft's upcoming game. On July 11th, that would be yesterday, he retweeted a post from a fellow Japanese ex-user summarizing the various issues local players have had with Shadow's representation, such as how some of the buildings feature Chinese instead of Japanese architecture. Look, I know Japan has been influenced by China, but dear Lord, if you actually had people who gave a shit about Japanese history, they would know this. Or how a lowly servant can be seen sitting on the same level as Oda Nobunaga himself. Alongside this retweet, the politician made a request for opinions to the general public, as machine translated via DeepL informed them. We have received a consultation regarding the alteration of Japanese history by a French game company. Well, there's your problem right there. They're French. We share the consultation below with images. We have also quoted a post that we believe points out the problem with the game in question. The problem with the game in question is that it's a woke piece of shit. We should be happy to receive your comments and suggestions, including specific requests. Burn that sucker down. That's my request in Minecraft. Further, Hamada shared a list of related concerns that had already been brought to his attention, which, in addition to the above points, also made note of the possibility that Yasuke's prominent Yasuka, might as well just call him Yasuka. His image has been damaged already. Prominence in the game's plot could lead to the misconception that he had had a bigger role in Japanese history than he actually did. And in a past show, we read a post that someone actually went to the Japanese Hall of Historical Records and looked this dude up, and it was nothing like they were talking about. This is my favorite thing. You would think that that would be the first place they would go, but that would actually mean A, doing research, B, actually caring about Yasuke's historical background, and C, would actually represent Japan. And of course, we know that Ubisoft didn't want to do any of that. Sorry, LOL. You're all good. So he proceeded to share 2 tweets worth of images showing feedback he had received from Japanese citizens regarding the game. Therein, one of the most common complaints was the perceived cultural theft of Yasuke, or perhaps it would be better to call it cultural invasion. Ooh. In this sense, some even brought up the ongoing war surrounding Yasuke's various Wikipedia pages, which continues to see various parties attempt to claim that the African visitor was a full and true samurai, rather than the lesser but still respected retainer he actually was. I would say look at that Britannica piece that I read. The favorite word in that one was unknown. His birthplace was unknown, but we think it was around here. He arrived unknown. His arrival to Japan, unknown, but it was kind of around here. Unknown, unknown, unknown. One user even bemoaned, I have been fighting as an ordinary person, but the situation has grown so large that it may become an international issue. Another user raised the topic of Nihon University College of Law in Tokyo Associate Professor Thomas Lockley's African Samurai, the true story of Yasuke. I'm always gonna second guess it because I've heard it pronounced different ways. A legendary black warrior in feudal Japan, itself the main source of Yasuke's false interpretation as a samurai, and accused its conclusion as being based on his own imagination. Even those who generally approved of diversity and inclusion initiatives found themselves unhappy with Ubisoft, with one individual telling Hamada, the recent drastic movements are good in nature, but they are excessive in their emphasis on Asian people and unnatural favoritism for black people. This is true, because remember when Stop Asian Hate immediately just fell off the social trend because they realized that the majority of people who were committing crimes against Asian people were African Americans? Uh-oh. Yasuke the Unknown. I know, that's what his name should have been, because we have no fucking clue what he did. Further complaints include Japan's own government. The Bureau of Justice has been hijacked by a woman who is a poly-college activist. This is true. The game depicting a grisly beheading and how the lies may become a fact outside of Japan. Some users compare it to the comfort women, which the Japanese government has apologized for on multiple occasions. One still praised how Assassin's Creed used to be a good game series that was historically accurate. That person doesn't know what they're talking about. Historically accurate in the sense that the person of the norm of that time being appropriately represented as the main character than the one black dude we can find that was in Japan. Make it. He is the face of Japan. 1,000 samurai will commit seppuku for you. Following his sharing of these responses, Yamada proceeded to provide even more insight on the public's opinion on the matter by retweeting several responses made to his X post. Since they seem to be saying that it is a historically fact, we should make them clearly state that it is a fiction and admit that Ubisoft is at fault for their content. In addition, the production company has refused to accept any protest, and the X account of the Japanese branch finally apologized for one clear copyright violation, ignored the English version, and elsewhere likewise criticized Kakazan 1? Almost the Kazana. That would be the wind tunnel. The foreign media has also published articles defending the development and ridiculing the protests, and we believe that these moves to denigrate Japan are problematic as the game itself. Okay, he goes on. So as of writing, Yamada has yet to announce any formal actions regarding these complaints. Oh, excuse me. Including whether or not he will bring the topic of Assassin's Creed Shadows before the National Diet. Notably, this is not the first time the upcoming game has drawn the ire of Japanese locals. In the game's initial trailer, Ubisoft used the flag of a historical reenactment group without their permission. Oops! This mistake ultimately resulted in them pulling the design from the game and issuing an official apology. Further, a Japanese player started a Change.org petition calling for the game's outright cancellation, which that one I don't agree with, but they should just redo the whole thing then. Redo the whole main character. And if it costs them a bunch of money, good. That's a very good way to get the message across, which has since gone to reach over 80,000 signatures on this article's writing. Nice. Well, that's the end of the Bounding into Comics coverage of that. That Park Place also had that as well. We'll just see if this kind of explains the same thing. Using an AI to generate image of the time period the game is supposed to be set in. Yeah, I heard that too. This one points out also the fact that not only bastardizing the country's history and architecture, it's using AI to generate images of the time period. And apparently that AI is failing. So again, we've got the DeepL translating this. Also, DeepL, the quoted post reads, "Don't misunderstand why Assassin's Creed is on fire. Black people are the main characters. I don't really care. Non-Japanese people are flaming on their own. I asked a Japanese expert to make it messed up seasons, messed up buildings, messed up mannerisms. Did you really listen to him? It's a premiere box with concept art as a bonus. Expensive. Suspicion of an AI that learned that photos of Japanese period messed up. We made a concept video. Chinese subtitles are added by mistake. Uh-oh. Quicksilver gathers complaints. Makers upset. Don't complain. Racist. This is where the Japanese get the most upset. The problem is the manufacturer's negligence. It's not admitting even one of their mistakes. Signature Drives begins to demand that their product not be released." Good. The reference petition called, insult to Japanese culture and history, which I 100% agree. It is. And then apparently in this one, it's now over 81,000 signatures. That's awesome. And then Ubisoft Japan also issued an apology for using the back flag of the Sekigahara Teppo Corps without the reenactment group's permission. The back flag was shown in a promotional video. So Grum pointed that out. And then Ubisoft Japanese apologized for the using the flag without permission earlier this week. We have received notions that 2 pieces of concept art. Out of all the stuff we've heard, we only received notion that these 2 concept art, we fucked up. The group was given the opportunity to apologize, and it was accepted. This is likely an issue with the translation. It is probably better interpreted as the group gave us the opportunity to apologize, and it was accepted. Company added the art in question will not be used or distributed by any further beyond this date, except for being included in the art book in the collector's edition. We deeply apologize for it. Doesn't matter. Recall that shit. Reprint it all. Force these people to spend so much money fixing everything. I think that's probably the ultimate way to get Ubisoft where it hurts. Just make them go over their budget. Make them fix all of the problems possible. And if they need to reprint all the art books for the collector's edition, do it. Force them to. So Hamada would also indicate in a subsequent that he would potentially investigate the historical accuracy of Yasuke as translated by Deep L. Thank you for the many comments about the new Assassin's Creed series of games set in Japan. Okay, we've kind of read all this before. And that's pretty much it. What do you make of Hamada receiving these consultations and contemplating bringing them up in the front of the Diet? I mean, again, I'm not a big fan of government anywhere. But I think that's cool that at least someone who I believe someone said that he was a YouTuber, possibly a YouTube gamer, and now like got into politics. He, of all people, should understand if that is the case. It looks like it. It says YouTube right there. So you would hope that he could be able to make waves. As for like the petition to call it getting canceled, I wouldn't say so much canceled. Again, make them go beyond their budget and make them fix everything down to the art book. If they have to recall it, do it. Make them lose money to get them to understand that no one asked for this shit. And unfortunately, the Japanese people that said, you know, yeah, Yasuke being a black figure, like there's nothing wrong with that. I think I understand what they're saying was like, yeah, he did exist, but he should not be the main character. Any of the Japanese people that are like, oh, it doesn't matter that he's the main character, I'd have to disagree with that just because, you know, at least for me, I feel like you guys should get what a samurai of that time would be. Not a unique person that's not Japanese. Like, come on now. But again, we have to remember that over in Japan, a lot of this stuff isn't a big deal to them in terms of the, you know, social justice and all that stuff, or a lot of them just don't know about it. But, you know, it's that thing that, you know, people like us, like gamers that actually do care about it. We want them to be, we care about them being represented correctly and honored correctly. The people who are making this game do not. That's why they hired that pseudo Japanese history person who, conveniently enough, has some American heritage thrown in there. That's why they looked for someone like her than an actual Japanese, you know, history researcher or whatever, or the correct name of what you would call them. It's for some reason slipping me for the moment, but you get what I'm saying. But let's end this on a more positive, uplifting note. Like, for example, Nintendo releases its official magazine in English. The print publication is giving away in Japanese stores. So Nintendo has released its Japanese-only official magazine in English. Published on Friday, the summer edition of Nintendo Magazine, which is usually given away in Japanese stores, such as Nintendo Tokyo and other locations, is now available to read digitally in English language. Nintendo notes that because the magazine is intended for the Japanese market, some information such as pricing and release dates are not accurate for a global audience. However, the summer edition does not include a variety of features on upcoming Switch games such as Nintendo World Championship NES Edition, a rather pointless thing because you have Nintendo Remix, and The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. So as of this week, Nintendo Switch has officially had the longest lifespan of any Nintendo home console prior successor. Congratulations, Nintendo Switch. So apparently since its launch on March 3rd, 2017, 2,687 days have passed without the arrival of a successor console, meaning Switch's lifespan has officially beaten Nintendo's previous longest-lasting console, the Famicom. Damn. Nintendo confirmed that it will announce the next console. We've read this before this fiscal year. So I just found this pretty cool and interesting because it kind of made me think of, like, you know, Nintendo Power back in the day. And I didn't know, like, does anybody know, is Nintendo Power still going on? Like, is that still happening or is that pretty much done? But anyway, pretty cool. All right. And to end the stream on an uplifting note, and before we do, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. We were on YouTube, we were on Rumble, we were on X, and we were on Kick. And if you want to go beyond just pushing the algorithm, maybe check out the membership and subscription tiers and any other social media that I am on. You can find in the description below or on my link tree. But this looks cool. Retro beat 'em up game The Karate Kid Street Rumble announced. So publisher Game Mill Entertainment has announced The Karate Kid Street Rumble, a new throwback 16-bit side-scrolling beat 'em up game. You know me, I like my beat 'em up games set in the iconic franchise. It will launch on September 20th across Windows PC, Xbox One, looks like all of them. And then here is the reveal trailer. Let's see. Last time I was having problems playing audio. Let's see if this plays. Yep, it's playing. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Look at that. Kind of reminds me of Shredder's Revenge. I like the pixel art. Looks awesome. Like me a good beat 'em up. Game is set in the 1980s like the original film and will feature playable characters from the film as well. Daniel Russo, Mr. Miyagi, Komiko, and Ali Mills, as well as returning enemies like Johnny Lawrence, John Kreese, Terry Silver, and others across 12 levels. Nice. Dude, that looks awesome. There's Mr. Miyagi right there doing the Lord's work. Very cool. See, that's what I'm talking about. That looks awesome. Be cool if it had a physical release. Probably would get done by shitty run games. It's worth knowing this year marks the 40th anniversary for the Karate Kid franchise, with the 6th season of Cobra Kai hitting Netflix on July 18th. So there you go. Looks great. Yeah, I think it looked awesome. So I might look into getting it. But there you guys go. That is the end for tonight's show. Thank you, everybody who joined me on my rant. I'm sure it pissed off some people. You know, will lead towards me being a bigot or a white supremacist or whatever. But fuck them. But anyway, thanks again for hanging out. And again, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and turn on notifications. Maybe around 10 p.m. Central Time, I will hop online again and maybe try to finish up Onimusha, Dawn of Dreams. We are close to the end. We're fighting all the bosses and got to save the world. So if I do go live, make sure to check it out. Probably around 10 p.m. Central Time. If not, then we will for sure go online tomorrow, maybe earlier in the afternoon. So, thanks again, you guys, for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the show. Take care. God bless. Catch you guys on the flip side. And until then, peace.